Hello everyone, welcome to my channel ID Guru. So today we are going to learn about storyboarding using PowerPoint. Last time we had learned about storyboarding using MS Word. So both options are okay. It depends upon what suits you the best and also what appeals to your team. That is, like I had explained to you in the last session, that you have to work with graphic designers as well as programmers. So, whichever template works best for all of you together, go ahead with that. So, for me personally, I prefer PowerPoint because I find it easier to explain. And I am more of a visual person than a text person. So, if I show something, then I am able to elaborate and explain better. That is why I like PowerPoint better because in Word it is slightly difficult for me to write so much in detail and give maybe one or two graphics as an explanation visually. So let take a look at PowerPoint for storyboarding. As you can see on screen, this is the opening screen. And like I have always explained that in your notes section or even in a column in the words template, wherever you are writing notes for your developer or for your graphic person, have references for whatever you want them to put on screen. So this is your opening screen. Now, because you're not a graphic person, don't worry about what this is going to look like actually. That is, your product type is not literally going to look like this. This is just a sample for the graphic person. That is, you want the name of the module on screen along with an image. And the image, which image should they put? Then it should be something like what is shown on screen, right? Something to do with medicine or healthcare. And in the developer notes, what you can see here is that we've given them a Shutterstock ID so that they can go and take a look at this and find either the same image or similar ones. If you have the license of Shutterstock, then you have the exact ID. So you can go down and download it directly. If not, then you can find a similar open source version. So this is just for reference. So the next screen which is there, it is some information which all of your team members are supposed to keep in mind. That is, you should remember that the storyboard is a scene by scene visualization of the final course. And whatever images and content is shown on these slides is what will appear in the course. The notes section will also contain a voiceover script. So every time now we are not going to elaborate the term voiceover, you will mostly find it written as VO. So VO means voiceover. And the yellow box on the right now you can't see it, but in the slides which will come up, you will see a yellow box on the right. So I will be writing notes for the developer or the GD in it. So every ID has their own way of writing a storyboard, but the sample template, that is what is there on the slide, is what you see on screen. And what is there in the notes section has the notes for the GD or the voiceover. This is standard. Other than this, if you want to make life easier for your team members, you are free to go and tweak it. So another thing is, if you're going to use certain, certain things that you want your GD or your developer to remember, then you simply mention it right away. Like you can see on screen that graphics and VO information. So VO, remember that VO was voiceover. So there will be only one voiceover. I've already written that and I want it to be a male voice. So whenever your developer is going to go ahead and create this, they will look for a male voiceover. Now zooming and panning will be done as mentioned in the storyboard. What it means is that when they are animating this or programming it, don't zoom in for no reason unless I say so. So remember that the ID is like the director of the film. So unless the ID says that go ahead and do this, you stay away from it. Just follow the storyboard step by step. So remember that analogy of the architect and the engineer while you are building a house. If the architect has given a plan, then the engineer will stick to it. They don't sit and change it. Similar, analogy you have here. If the ID is telling you to do something, your GD and your programmer will strictly religiously follow it. Now, like I mentioned, that images are taken from Shutterstock and their IDs are mentioned. Also, every client, that is whoever you're working for, they typically have certain branding guidelines. Now, what is meant by branding guidelines? It means the type of colors that you will use, the type of font, that is, which font do you prefer, They tell you all of this from before. Now, this example which I have taken on screen is from the healthcare industry. So, in that, there are certain taboos, that is, some do's and don'ts. So, that will be told right away. So, you very religiously follow it. And now, here it is written that the images used here are untreated. They may be treated at the production stage to match the course theme. What it means is that, like I told you in the earlier screen, that this image need not be taken as is. You can sit and edit it later. That is why the GD is there, right? Otherwise, what do you need them for? Just to download this. No, na? So that is why I'm writing here that all of that beautification will be done later. Right now, this will be sent to the SME for a sign off. So don't sit and look at the beautification of the entire thing. What the SME is supposed to look at, that is it technically sound? Is the placement okay? Is the image okay? Not beautiful. Remember the distinction between okay, that is tick off, it's fine, versus how pretty it is. Don't get into the pretty aspect of it. All that will be done later. And don't bother about those branding guidelines right now. Because again, of course, you can do it right now, but that will take more time. Now, again, it depends upon how picky your client is. Now, sometimes clients are there who will not budge. They will say that, no, I want my branding guidelines at the storyboarding stage only. So in that case, you have to give in. Then your storyboard may not look like this. You will have to literally follow. Sometimes they have their like a yellow or a red color or a blue color. They will have a particular shade. So if they may have a theme or they may have a logo, and you have to just follow that exact RGB value, and then put your color scheme accordingly. So if your client is a little picky, then that's fine. We just live with it. So coming back to storyboarding, once your information is given to your team members, whoever is going to look at this, or to your SME need not read this because this is not their business. What they need to see is the technical accuracy of the content and also placement if that bothers them. They can tell you. So here, this is a course disclaimer. Now this is for your audience. So this is going to come on screen as is. That is the information is intended for internal training and whatever. So this is like a disclaimer which you see in your movies also. So again, this is for your SME to look at. So again, the background image is a generic image. So anything can be picked up. That is why there is no reference ID here. It is a very generic image. Now, as you move ahead, now you see here that the audio script has come up. Audio script or a voiceover. It is the same thing. Now, here we have opted for an agent or some type of a person to speak to. A dialogue will be there throughout this entire course. That is how I chose to do it. Now, you being the ID, you can decide on anything. You can have a different avatar or you can choose to remove it altogether. So now if you see on your right hand side, there are notes for the GD. That is to display the background scene and the instructor right at the start. Instructor means the person or the avatar who is speaking to you. Now, what is seen here as a call out, when it gets animated, she will be speaking. So it will look much better. So here it is written that the dialogue should appear as the call out and it will fade out when the audio is complete. What it means is that when she finishes speaking, it will go away. Either you show the call out or she speaks. Again, it depends upon your budget and your time. So if mostly this she will be speaking here, you will show a lip movement. Or if you're a little bit low on budget, then you simply show the call out. It's up to you. And the GD is of course there to show you different options. What would be a best fit? So you see how it is flowing one after the other. That is, your opening screen will show simply one generic image from the healthcare industry along with the title, followed by an introduction to the module using, and how is it introduced? With the help of an avatar. All the instructions are there all the time and it is a clean flow from one to the next. You don't see a break anywhere. So while the avatar is speaking to you, the next screen shows the learning objectives. Now it is written here that it should be continuing from the previous screen. What it means is that there should be no break. So break means what? That it waits for the user to click on the next button. Or, it should keep flowing. Even if you don't want that next button, just let it go on its own. if you want. That now here I wanted it that way. That is why I've written continue from the previous screen. Now, if you're okay that the user should keep clicking on next and previous, then you can skip it. Also, another thing is that OST, which means on-screen text. OST appears in sync with audio. So now why is this written? Because when your programmer is playing both, that is, they are showing the text on screen and they are playing the audio. They should literally match each and every word. Why? Because otherwise it doesn't make any sense. So, but trust me, it is important to write this. Because if you don't write it, sometimes people just play the two together. They don't sit and literally map each and every word because they just feel that, okay, you played it together, you're done. So remember to write every small detail that you think is important. Also notice that all of the learning objectives are written using Bloom's taxonomy. If it is hard for you to recollect, then go back to a previous video and go and learn what is Bloom's taxonomy. So as we are seeing that it is flowing, first your avatar was introduced, then your learning objectives are told to you, and now we move ahead to scenarios. So now your avatar is briefing you about one scenario in which you're supposed to think what you can do ahead. Okay, I'm not going to go into the details of the scenario because right now we are simply learning how to storyboard, not getting into what was written. I'm still at the how phase. So here dialogues will be there. It will fade in and fade out. Your audio script will always be there. And now I'm a little keen about the background. That is why I have given a Shutterstock ID once again. And each relevant person will look at their business. That is, the GD is going to look at the developer notes. They are not going to read the audio script. Whereas the programmer is going to look at both. And you, being the ID, is going to look at everything. So once you have introduced the scenario, you move ahead and tell some key terms. So if there are some terms which your learner is supposed to know throughout the module, you're not going to tell it, rather you are going to use it again and again later, but you're not going to keep explaining it. Then explain them right in the beginning. And now this is a slightly a module which is in between level 1 and 2. So it is not very interactive, but it is not very simple either. So now you will have your clickables on screen. So there is an icon which comes up, and once the user clicks on it, they will get to see their key terms, right? So all the time you have your avatar speaking to you and your clickables are coming on screen. So I will keep repeating the flow to you. Title followed by introduction of avatar, then learning objectives, then the scenario, that is just a brief scenario, followed by key terms. Now key terms is shown to you. So you see there is nothing in the note section because here it is already written that when the user clicks on this icon, then they are supposed to see the information from slide number 8. So read the second point in the notes to the GD. That is, allow the user to click on the key terms icon. When the user clicks on it, display the content from slide number 8. So whenever the user clicks on that, you simply display this. And also you see that this is getting highlighted. Your icon is getting highlighted and also the text below it. And anything that is to be clicked upon, that is, it is an instruction, is usually written in italics. And also you make it a little bit bold. Reason being that it should come in your eye. That rather you should see it, not come in your eye. You should actually see it. So once the user has seen the key terms, you move ahead to the content now. All of these are clickables. This is the actual content which you're going to deal with now. Again, your Shutterstock IDs are there. Clickables are there on screen. As the user clicks on it, you will go ahead and see the relevant information. So as you can see on the next slide, the color has changed to green and its relevant information is coming on screen. How this is supposed to appear is written in your notes to the GD. And also it is written that view the slide on slideshow mode to see the animation. So let's go ahead and do that once. I will put this on animation mode, full screen mode. So you see the color changed and then this appeared. So the animation is shown to you slightly, to you meaning to the developer. So they understand how this should appear. That is, once this becomes green, then the information should be seen parallelly. So make life very easy for your GD as well as your programmer. You remember I had told you that when you program or when you write the storyboard, If your GD and your programmer need not speak to you, then it is the perfect storyboard. That is, it is clean and clear. So next you move ahead, and now we have made a distinction between two types of professionals from the healthcare industry. One is the actual healthcare professional who will deal with patients and their caregivers, and other are government officials. So they are also people who deal with healthcare issues. So I'm not going to go into details of this. Basically, you see the flow that is happening. After the key terms, you went ahead and saw details of two important areas, that is laws and decisions. And once you are familiar with that, now you get into more details. That is of healthcare professionals and government officials. And all throughout, you have a dialogue. The avatar will keep appearing whenever necessary. Again, this is followed by further information. So in this way, you complete your storyboarding till the end. Whenever, if you feel that I will not go into more details of the technical soundness of whatever you're seeing on screen, pay attention to the template. That is how you're supposed to show the information. Because what you're supposed to show will be given to you by the SME. Don't worry about that. The ID is always subject neutral. So the ID is not responsible for whether this is right or wrong. Your SME is responsible for it. But of course, what are you responsible for? QA. That is grammar. Make sure the English is very, very accurate. And if you are really feeling that something is wrong, then you simply put a query to the SME before doing any of this. If you are very sure that something is wrong here. Okay, so in this manner, you write your storyboard. Whenever you feel that there is a logical mental break, you add a MCQ, that is formative assessment. We have also covered the distinction between formative and summative assessments. So go and look at that video if you need a quick revision. And after you have finished covering the entire module, you have your summative assessment, which will be graded. And after that, the module closes. So in this way, we will be writing our storyboard using PowerPoint. I hope this was little easy to understand. You can try writing one yourself. Use a very simple topic and try writing it. If you're facing any sort of problem, then do reach out to me. I will try my best to help. So I will meet you in the next session coming up with a new topic. Till then, take care.